Welcome to Auction version 4, the event management software tool from Auction Systems. In part 2 of this two-part series, I will show you how to modify the quick set data when creating a new project by transferring some or all data from a previous project. In part 1 of this series, I showed you how to name and pick a save location for the new project, how to select a prior project or a backup of a prior project to copy data from, how to choose a quick set for the data to copy, how to change the event name, date, and time of the event, and finally how to retain or discard the internal controls. But if you want to modify some of the data that will be transferred, below the internal controls section will be a series of panels for different data areas. When the panels are closed, the top of each panel shows a summary of what information is being transferred in that data area. The panels that are currently shown will depend on the quick set you chose. Some of the panels may be hidden depending on the quick set you picked for the initial data. At the bottom of all the panels are a list of the tiles associated with the data areas. If you want to make a modification to the data that is handled in a hidden panel, you can enable that panel by clicking on the tile associated with that data entry area, and it will join the enabled panels above. Let's start with the Names panel. Click on it to open it. The total list of name records that will be copied is on the right. Depending on the quick set you chose, this list can be limited to one or all of the name types. If all the name type buttons are dark, all name types will be copied. You can click on any dark button to make it have a light background to discard any name records that are only marked as that name type. But remember, a name record can be marked as any or all of these name types. So if you uncheck donors, the only names that will be eliminated from the transfer will be the donors that are not marked as any of the other name types too. You may further modify this list by adding a refinement from the drop-down. In this case, a refinement has been added to only include donors who have donated an item or cash or made an in-kind donation. Further refinements can be added as needed. On the left of this panel, you can also modify what type of information about the chosen name records will be copied. You can copy the bid numbers, any image stored with the name record, whether they have automatic quick checkout or manual quick checkout. In general, when creating a new project for a new event, all of these except possibly the image button should be unchecked or light, because most organizations assign new bid numbers and gather credit card information newly each year. You may want to retain volunteer teams for your volunteers and name affiliations for your name records. Or you may want to clear all the information and start new, or maybe some but not all teams and affiliations should be copied. Click on the team and the affiliation panels here to make your choices. You can override whether the attendance details for each name record are retained or discarded, as well as the entree selections, group requests, or tables. Also, you can retain or discard payments for the names you will copy. Voided payments will always be discarded unless you purposely choose to retain them by clicking this button. In the Items panel, you can see a list of items that will be brought over. If you want some items but not all, you can select which item types you want to copy, as well as refine even more using the pull-down. If this is a new project for a new year, I would caution in copying items over from the previous year. Many organizations think they get the same items from the same donors every year, but often the majority of their items from year to year may be similar but are not the same. You don't want to be thanking your donors this year for an item they donated last year, nor do you want items from last year inflating your total item donation value in any financial report. So if you do copy all the items over as pending, you have to remember to delete all the pending items that did not get donated this year, so the reports and especially any new donor receipts are correct. There may be certain items you do offer every year. For example, if your organization is a school that offers a parking place or front row seats to graduation every year, categorize those items to a specific category in the previous project, and then refine the list of items on the right in the new project using the Refine pull-down to just items in that category and no other items. For a donation or a duplicate project set, you would most likely want to retain item numbers and keep components in baskets, but you may not want item images. The reverse may be true if this is a project for a new event and you're copying some items to the new project. You can also copy the feature status and exclude from catalog status. If this is a new project for a new year, you would want to discard all item purchases info, and you would not want to retain voided item purchases. You can copy over cash and/or in-kind donations. For a new project for a new year, you probably wouldn't want to do this. If you have a reservations quick set, which normally would not take over any donors unless they were also an attendee, if you did track some cash donations in your original project, you would want to be sure to refine your name selection in the names panel we talked about previously to include cash donors along with attendees, and then in this panel you would want to include the cash donations. If this is a new project for a new year and your ticket names have changed, a basic quick set would discard everything in this panel, which included both the ticket and entry types and the ticket purchases. You can also choose to retain or discard the ticket purchases and voided ticket purchases. You can retain or discard entry assignments, table assignments, groups, and any custom table layouts you may have in the previous project. The next panel is for payments. Depending on what quick set you chose or your personal needs for the project, you could retain or discard payments. In general, you would probably never want to include voided payments in a new project of any type, but you do have a choice to include them if you want. If you're tracking expenses, you may want to include them in the new project too. Of course, if this is a new project for a new year, you probably wouldn't want to include any expenses. Finally, in this last panel, you can pick and choose whether to retain or discard custom reports, custom documents, custom import formats, and custom export formats, and whether to retain project images or just retain the ones currently in use in any of the custom documents you're copying, or discard all project images. Usually, if you've saved custom formats of any of these, you would want to copy them. But if you decide to discard, there is a way to retrieve them from a prior project later. To learn how to share a custom document, export or import format, or report created in one project with another project, please see the video in the Reports section entitled Saving and Retrieving Reports. When you've made the modifications you'd like to the quick set you picked, click Make Project Now on the ribbon. If the Make Project Now button is not enabled, click the Hint button to see what needs to be fixed. When you click Create Project Now, Auction will show you an event log showing the name of the new project as well as the name of the project the data was copied from. It will also list the areas of data that were copied. You can click any of these links to see more details about the data that was copied to the new project. To begin working in the new project, click the Close button and the new project will open. Thank you for joining us.